Austin, what's good? How's everyone feeling? Upbeat, alive? Crowd looks great. Yeah? People in the back, if you want to come, I think there's a couple spaces still up front. I promise we don't bite up here, so if you want to fill it in a little bit, that'd be great. You guys ready for the best panel of the day? Yeah? Well, I met some of you earlier. My name is, for those who I didn't meet, my name is Eric Jackson. I'm a sports business reporter here with Sporter Co., and I welcome you to Cultivating Authenticity and Brand Partnerships. And I don't think there's a better person to speak on this than someone I feel like is the consummate celebrity athlete brand ambassador. You've seen him on magazine covers. You've seen him on national commercials. You've also seen him catching footballs on Sundays. We're joined today by three-time Pro Bowler Stefon Diggs.
First of all, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for this opportunity. Thanks for having me. Hopefully this conversation is an open dialogue. We'd love to hear some feedback. Obviously, we're going to dive into it deeply, but I just want to thank you for taking the time out, and hopefully we can have a good conversation.
Stefon, how are you, man? How you feeling?
I'm good. I've actually just been traveling the world as of recently, so I have no jet lag. We can hang out all day. I'm going to be up, so I feel good, though.
I was just going to ask you if he's jet lag. For those who don't know, Stefon's fresh off a plane from Paris, was just at Paris Fashion Week doing a lot of cool things, and we're going to get into that in a little bit, but first I want to talk about why we're here, and that's brand partnerships with pro athletes. And as they've evolved so much in recent years, with more avenues than ever and platforms to do creative collaboration, especially in this digital media age. And what stands out to me, though, is with these partnerships now, there's a lot more focus on authenticity and equity. And Stefon, I just wanted to ask you, as someone who has built long-lasting relationships that include equity, he's been in the face of multiple national campaigns, Gatorade, DraftKings, Jordan Brand, and others. Stefon, what's the recipe, right, for the perfect brand relationship with an athlete?
Mainly for me, I feel like in most partnerships that I dive into, I like them to be organic. I like them to be more so feel-based. I feel like as you interview someone or somebody interviews you, you want whatever you're aligning with to be like your core values, to be like-minded. For me, it's like acts of service. Like I like to be whoever I'm partnering with to be active in the community, or like just those kind of relationships that happen really natural rather than being forced. Like I'm not a big rent-a-athlete kind of guy. Like I'm more so building those lasting relationships. That's why I have such long-term relationships with brands, because I go into it with a mindset of being open, being honest, being, letting them know how I feel about things and how we can align. And I just feel like if you go in with a mindset of setting that foundation, it'll carry over into, conveying a message or conveying a message throughout a campaign or pushing certain things. So, yeah.
Yeah, one of the better dressed guys in the NFL was in Milan. Was in Milan recently and in Paris too. And I wanted to ask you, Stefon, how did you turn your interest for fashion into a true extension of your brand, right? Because it's not just a hobby for you. Like, this is work. You just did the Givenchy fragrance brand. Like, This is work for you. Like, how did that happen?
Well, it kind of started when I was younger. I felt like fashion was a big thing for me. I don't know, we all come from different backgrounds, but we didn't have a lot of money growing up, but I liked to play with clothes. I used to write on my clothes or mess up my jeans, and I got in a lot of trouble for it, obviously, how parents are, but something that I kind of garnished a love for at such a young age that I started to hang my hat on it. And it wasn't until when I was in college, around my sophomore year, I got hurt. Oh, somebody's clapping. I got hurt my sophomore year, and I was leaning so hard on football my whole life that I felt like I was invincible. And I felt like when I broke my ankle, well, that's what happened. I broke my ankle on that football field. It kind of made me take a step back. It made me start, considering other things like, what are my other interests? Let me get to know myself. What do I like? What do I dislike? And I started diving into that rabbit hole of, all right, I do like fashion. Let me start, garnishing some interest and really diving into what fashion is. And as I developed and as I started building it out, when I did get a little bit of money in the NFL, when I first got in the league, I said, okay, I can buy me my favorite pair of shoes growing up. I can buy my mom maybe a little purse here and there for Christmas. So I started really diving into that, and I felt like it was something that I could carry over into my brand. And then it was another way of self-expression as well. So as far as like getting creative with your outfits before the game and that kind of thing, I always did that. And I used to do that even growing up. I never let my mom pick out my clothes. So I used to just wear rain boots in the summertime or cowboy boots in the winter. So it was definitely something that I kind of garnished and was just like, I have an interest in this. And as I got older, it just grew.
Who's the best guy? Who's the best dressed guy in the NFL, objectively speaking? But
of course, I'm not gonna say myself, right? You know what I'm saying? So it's some guys out there. I like Tyrod Taylor. He's actually another guy that's under my agency. Virginia guy. Travis Kelce. Everybody who's I don't know how many KC fans in here. We could fight right now, but Travis Kelce. It's a lot of guys, but those are some.
I want to talk a little bit about transcendence. I love that word, transcendence, and. For you, Stefon, when did you realize that? Because you have deals with brands that have nothing to do with the NFL, right?
Yeah.
So how did you realize that? Like when was the opportunity where like I can transcend beyond just football, right? Like when did you realize that?
It was crazy. Excuse me, let me get some water. Like those organic relationships that I say that have been built over time. We had a preseason game or something like that, a game in Seattle. Where I had Starbucks cleats, and I don't know how many Starbucks fans in here, but I'm a huge Starbucks guy.
We got Starbucks fans in here.
Starbucks, so I always got Starbucks, and I'm a big tea drinker, so I had like Starbucks cleats, and I kind of like dove into that. You know, I'm always a cleat guy that gets creative, so we kind of grabbed their attention a little bit from the game, and you know. Starbucks HQ is in Seattle. You know, lucky me, kind of like I might have played on that a little bit, you know, so worked in my favor. So me and my rep actually reached out to them and we had a conversation. And, you know, Starbucks is also, oh, thank you so much. I might catch it. Let me see. I might catch it. If I don't, if I don't catch it, if I don't catch this, it's because I got a suit on. Look, I'm about to catch this.
Hey!
Oh, bro, thank you. I appreciate you. Where was I?
No, it's Starbucks.
Yeah, I had to focus on catching. I kind of got my mind bogged. So Starbucks HQ is actually in Seattle, and we played around with the idea of me wearing the cleats and that kind of thing. So as my rep reached out, it was more so aligning because Starbucks is a brand that doesn't need any more advertising. They don't need any athletes. They can do it all on their own. So when you dove into that relationship, that was a real interview process, and I kind of compare it to dating. When you're dating somebody, you're kind of, I mean, for most women, I guess, dating to marry, you know what I'm saying? And then men kind of dating, I guess. But for me, like, the relationship was really like dating, and they got to know me, and they realized that I was reputable. And as far as like transcending, the Starbucks isn't a brand that's aligned with the NFL. So the NFL has partners that they work with, and, you know, guys get deals that way. So we ended up working out a deal where I met the Tavana family. It's like a tea category, and I was at the HQ. I visited. I met the C-level executives. I met the people, everyday people who work there, and I fell in love with the brand even more just because of the alignment and what they represented and everything they had going on. So for me, that transcendent conversation, it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen like not naturally. It happened something so organic that I was interested in it. They realized that I was reputable and I was a good face, and they wanted to align with me. And I was just, you know, I was more thankful than anything that I only went to Starbucks, and I was reminded that, you know, my favorite drink. I know those people over there. It's not just me drinking coffee anymore.
Yeah, would you say like that? That's like just a great example of just authenticity, like just you actually being a fan of the brand, having a similar ethos, like and meeting halfway there.
Yeah, that's 100%, and I can't stress it enough that you want to align with the brands that, you know, have the same values as you, like the same ethos, just from the standpoint of it will be seamless. It won't be as abrasive or any friction because you somewhat think the same things, or you at least align with the same things, where, you know, when you have a brand and you might think this and the brand might think this, that's where it's a lot of like, well, you know, it could be real difficult. So.
And tea guy, not coffee, for the record. Right?
Yeah.
You know, in today's world, just talking about brand partnerships, there's so much focus just on transparency, right? And being upfront early on. Like, I'm curious your thoughts when you sit down with a brand. How important is it just to talk about values really early, just to to marry those ethos, right? Hopefully to create a unique campaign.
Yeah, when I say about the kind of building that foundation, that's what I mean by foundation is when you know what a brand aligns with, core values, and outside of that, that's why it's so easy to push a campaign. It's so natural to push a campaign because they represent the same things you represent. So I like to be upfront and open-ended for any conversation when I'm aligning with a brand, along with my rep, just to have us in the right mind frame and put everybody in a comfortable state. The worst thing you can do is, we all can attest to this, going to work not knowing, having more questions than answers. You don't want to have more questions than answers. That's when things kind of get real foggy. So for me, I felt like the first thing we do is, let's just get to know them. If we get to know them at this level of my career, I say this so humbly. This is about to be my 9th year in the league, and I say no as much as I say yes. Just because sometimes things don't align. You might love a brand, but you just might not align. And in the perfect world, you want them all to make sense. And I'm a firm believer that everybody doesn't have a price. You know what I'm saying? It might be a pretty penny, but I'm saying that it might cost you some of your integrity. So for me, I kind of align myself authentically, organically, and just doing it the right way.
Yeah, no, I was going to ask, how much are you interviewing the brand as much as they're interviewing you, right? When you're sitting down.
It's weird because I don't look at myself as the prize. I look at the brand as the prize because a lot of these brands don't need any more backing. They don't need any more pushing, and they could rent an athlete so easily. So they are the prize, but I still gotta do my necessary vetting as being they're the prize. I gotta let them know that I bring something to the table a little bit. Like I got a little something for you. So just as far as interviewing them and just figuring out what are we pushing here? What's the goals? What's the objectives for this campaign? Because each campaign can be different, even if you have the same mantra. So I kind of like to dive into that just so I make sure I'm pushing the right message.
Stefon, I don't think a lot of people realize that you have your own business team, right? And I think that's just important to highlight. And you really are your CEO in a lot of ways. So how much do you lean on the people around you to make informed decisions when it comes to brand partnerships?
Yeah, it's crazy. So I preach this to everybody, my little brothers, everybody who comes after me. I say you're the CEO of your life. And what I mean by you're the CEO of your life, you run it how you see fit. And with that responsibility comes a lot. I feel like when you putting people in place and you're doing that vetting process of the people that you trust most, you got to trust them to make very sound decisions in high pressure situations. Like I can't do everything at one time, and that's why it's great to delegate. As I delegate, I want to put enough on your plate that you can handle, that if I'm not there, you can make a sound decision. So I lean so much on my team that yes, I run my life, but it's not just me. You know what I'm saying? It's people doing this for me or doing that for me. Because I promise you, if I didn't have a team of people, I'd be a mess. You know what I'm saying? I'm already a mess, but you know what I'm saying? I run out here with like a chicken with his head cut off. So for me, I kind of lean in on my team, and as being a CEO and making those decisions, they're big decisions. And they're not easy, and sometimes you make a good one, sometimes you make a bad one. But I also like to be around the people who align with what I align. That way, when I go into my huddle, because I got to do a football reference. When I go into my huddle, me being the quarterback, I make sure everybody that's on the right page and everybody can help me with the play call and make sure everything goes right. That's for the football people.
Yeah, and you mentioned the rent athlete, and I really want to talk about that because I think so often brands and companies, right, you just plug the athlete in and you do the campaign. Like, how important is it just to steer away from that and it being really just a two-way street?
It's very two-way street. It's just because I have nothing against renting the athlete, and by that I don't know if people know what renting the athlete is, but it's when you have a campaign and you pay an athlete to come and be the face, and he might say a couple words, and I have nothing against that. There's nothing wrong with that, as long as you're aligning with the right athlete. You know what I'm saying? You got to make sure you're with someone that's reputable, or with someone who can convey your message or push your message the way you want it pushed. I have nothing against it. Me personally, I don't agree with it, just because you want to align with somebody that you can take it the distance with. You want to align with somebody that not only can push your message in the first week, but a year from down the line, y'all have no problems and y'all still working at a high level. So for me, that's why I like building those lasting relationships and those long-term relationships, because, like I said, they're seamless, and it's easier for me to know that you got my back in the long run and I got yours. So.
Yeah, do you feel like it's a missed opportunity though sometimes with brands? Because I feel like the rent athlete, like you're almost not optimizing the athlete's brand all the way sometimes. Like it's just you plug it in, time constraints and others, I get it, but it feels like a missed opportunity sometimes. Like how do you kind of think of that?
It's a slippery slope, because you have some athletes who have a hot moment, and then you have athletes who have a career. You know what I'm saying? Even that, but that even along so is with brands. You see brands come out hot. Yeah, they started in the first quarter with X amount of Z with great numbers, and then, you know, further on, it's just they kind of like sunk a little bit. So for me, it's a slippery slope. Alignment is everything, and you want to be with a reputable person, whereas though you see State Farm commercials, you see XYZ, or let's for example, the Geico commercial. When you recognize the Geico commercial, what do you first thing you think of? The gecko. For me, that's something that, I mean, he's not a real person, but that's somebody that you can attach your brain to. He's obviously reputable. He always has a good name. You know what I'm saying? So for me, I'm just saying those lasting relationships and those are more key. That's something that you can attach your mind to, that you can say, all right, well, that brand's been around for a long time and they've been aligning themselves with the right people.
Do you feel like you can be difficult sometimes when you're dealing with brands?
I'm not a diva. I don't care what they say. I'm not, but I try to be as easy to deal with as possible. I'm more so on the basic things like principle, integrity. I align with the core values of any human, I hope. So for me, I try to make it as easy as possible. And I'm easy to deal with. I don't ask for all yellow M&Ms. I don't ask for,
But I'm sure brands respect it though sometimes, right? If you do have a little pushback or, no, I want it to be this way or that way. Like.
Yeah, it's a balance just because I'm not a pushover. Don't get me wrong. I don't want all yellow. I might want all blue one day, but I don't want all yellow. So I do give a little pushback in certain areas considering the circumstances. Like sometimes if you're working for a brand or you're working with a brand, they can get things in late or get a message in late, something I've been working on for them, and then they kind of switch it up. So for me, I just try to, put me in front of everything early. Let me get a jump start on it so we can get cracking down on it, and I can kind of convey that message and push it how you want.
Yeah, and you've been in the league for a little bit now, and you're around a lot of guys
Decade.
like coming in 9 years now, on your 9th year coming up. But as there's more awareness, right, Stefon, around intellectual property and licensing, how much do you just talk to the other guys about being their own CEO and really realizing the power that they harness?
Yeah. I mean, I'm a part of an agency right now. My marketing rep was also at one point in time, and she didn't stress to me enough that the young guys just kind of didn't get it. And I was like, it's just hard because as a young guy, you're so focused on the wrong things when you're going into the NFL. You don't even realize that it's the bigger picture. Like, yes, you want marketing, you want deals, you want the exposure. And I kind of always drove home that, yes, you are the CEO of your life, but how good is your business? You know what I'm saying? Your business has to be good, like, meaning you have to play well. You know what I'm saying? You can't expect to align yourself with brands if you don't have a name, if you're not using your platform to the best of your ability. So for me, I'll tell them, focus on football first, and as you kind of branch off and as you build, that's when you not only educate yourself in the field, but you put yourself in the best position to be successful. For me, you are the CEO of your life, but make sure that business is running well. Make sure that you're doing X, Y, Z on the field, that you're like, all right, it's easy to align with this guy. And you only know that from your interviews or, when you do podcasts or when you do, any type of marketing or anything like that. So for me, that's the main thing. If you're a CEO, hopefully you're a good one.
Yeah, but you get it, right? Younger guys, you're trying to just make the team, some guys, right? So I just want to ask you, like, how much has that transition been for you, coming from when you first got in the league, 5th-round guy out of Maryland, to now, right, the 3-time Pro Bowler that you are today?
Thank you. I can tell you, personally, I'm speaking from experience. When I first got into the NFL, I paid close attention to those who came before me, like, I call them my OGs or the mentors of the league, the older guys in the league. I kind of paid real close attention to them because, like, your parents tell you, or like, what I'm saying, your father figures will tell you, I've made those mistakes before, what I'm saying, to avoid making those mistakes. I kind of paid so close attention that I asked a million questions to the OGs. I asked a million questions to the older guys, like, how can I not make those same mistakes and have success? So for me, I leaned on that the most and said, okay, I won't make this mistake. I'll do this. I'll focus on this. And I didn't put the carriage before the horse, or that analogy where, like, you know
something
what I'm
like
talking
that.
about, right? Something like that. I focused on what mattered the most, and that was football. So I know for those first league year guys and those guys that are just trying to make the team, those are your priorities. You know what I'm saying? You need to be focused on that. Football does matter a lot, and that's the only way you'll be able to effectively use your platform. So for me, I wanted to be the best football player, but while doing that, there's nothing wrong with educating yourself and aligning yourself the right way and, presenting yourself the right way. That way you are reputable when that call does come, because you don't know when the call is going to come, but when they do come, they come in abundance.
Yeah, were you already thinking about like a diverse portfolio when you walked in? I mean, when you first got drafted, I know it's tough, like kind of looking forward, like when you first get to the league. But was that in the back of your mind always, just like, hey, I want to, do a little of this and be here and kind of, beyond football?
Yeah, I always had it in the back of my mind, but I kind of kept it in the back of my mind until it was time to really execute, because I wanted to have the necessary things in place, and that's why having a successful career, being an exceptional receiver, like. People presenting you and they know you, and they not only know you for football, but being a solid person for the most part. You know what I'm saying? They might not know you personally, but they know that you're not a bad guy. You know what I'm saying? You want that on your resume before you can have anything really presented to you. So for me, I had it in the back of my mind that I always wanted to do more as far as like philanthropy and just, getting out in the community and doing things. And it's not smoke and mirrors, because genuinely, I wanted to do those things when it was time. I wanted to wait until I was stable enough financially, of course, and then pour it back into the community, because ultimately, in my opinion, the more you give, the more you receive. You know what I'm saying? It'll all come back. The way the world works, I feel like the universe honors grace, and if you move gracefully, it'll reward you. And that way, a never-ending cycle of goodness, I hope.
Yeah, I'm curious who you're inspired by, Stefon. I mean, you mentioned the OGs before, but from a brand marketing standpoint, just being your own CEO, what other athletes are you, former or current, that you kind of look at and like, yeah, they're doing it right?
A guy that I can't say he did it to perfection, but it kind of seems like to perfection. A guy like Michael Strahan, a guy that transcended and took football, and now you know him to be on TV. You know what I'm saying? I barely think of him in the New York Giants, and he was an amazing player, Hall of Fame player. So it's like this, the fact that you can transcend to something bigger than football or, unilateral. Right. But I think of you being on TV. I think of the conversation that you've had with XYZ celebrity on your show. So it's like something like such a good opportunity for players to really consider that football is definitely a platform, but it's not your only platform. And if you can, I wouldn't say escape, but add to your resume or add to your lifelong career, or doing, because the average career, I guess, is 2 to 3 years. I've been lucky to have 8 going on 9. But after football, I'm going to be around 30, 33, 34, 35, I hope. So you have the rest of your life to really lean towards and to make that transition as seamless as possible. Hopefully you have a portfolio, or you have another career that you have a love for, or have other things that you've garnered some interest in. So it is seamless. I feel like he was on TV I feel like he's been on TV for 20 years now.
Yeah.
I'm like this, oh yeah, he used to play with the New York Giants too.
Good Morning America. I'm sure we got some Good Morning America fans here.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, for sure. And you just mentioned 33, 34, playing up to that. Do you see yourself more the type of person like, hey, I might, step away and kind of dive more into my portfolio one day, or like hang on and play as long as possible? Like, where do you kind of fit? Where do you think you kind of fit in that sort of?
I'm in that gray area of, I hope my body isn't fully broken down and I can play with my kids.
Yeah.
And then like, I never want to give the game up like Tom Brady. So it's like, I feel like, well, if I can find a little cool median in between that, I feel like I'll be fine. But I don't want to run until my legs don't work anymore. I want to enjoy my lifetime. So to have that as seamless, I want to dive into my portfolio after football. I kind of want to do it towards the end of my career. So it's not just like when football is over and done with, I can get to work. I want to be able to transition into. And when I do hang them up, I'll be able to go into the office and start working on some things that I've been working on for years at a time. And it's like building that solid foundation now, and in 2 to 3 years span, hopefully things are up and running.
No, definitely, for sure. And I want to get into community, which is big for you, Stefon, community outreach. And you've done a lot, including the cities that you've played for, including Buffalo. You did, what comes to my mind is the backpack giveaway you did in Buffalo last year at the same top supermarket. The horrific racist terrorist attack happened last May, and you were with the mayor, and you're also gearing up for a Black on the Block, second annual, coming up in DC, roughly 100 small-owned businesses there. So for you, how much just being a goodwill ambassador and a man of the people just help, create stronger opportunities for, brand opportunities?
It's crazy because, like, I don't necessarily do it for that, but it is like something that comes with it. Like, that's when I say the universe honors grace. When you're aligning yourself and you're doing XYZ for the community, people acknowledge that and people respect that, especially people who are actively in the community every day. You know what I'm saying? Some people, that's their job, that's their everyday, you know what I'm saying, just trying to make a difference. So when you take that time out, it means a lot to them. So for me, I try to take the time out as much as I can because it goes a long way. You see athletes who you have a very strenuous, you have a stressful schedule, you have so much going on. Just to take that time out, it means a lot to them. So for me, when I go out there and actively, I'm with the mayor, I try not to, I always tell my representation and anybody involved as least amount of cameras as possible. But you know, of course, like everybody has to like see something. Like we live in the day and age of, you know what I'm saying, if they didn't see it, it didn't happen. But for me, like I'm as least cameras as possible, because if it's an act of service or it's act out of love, it was out of love. It wasn't because who saw you do it. It's like when you pick up that piece of trash and nobody's around, you know what I'm saying? It's just a little act of yourself. So for me, I don't do it for that, but it definitely makes you more of a target of people being like, you know what I'm saying, this is a halfway decent person, like I said. Why not? Let's work with him. Like I align myself with brands like M&T Bank. They've seen the stuff that I'm doing. They want to donate to my charity. They want to be a part of stuff, and other people who, you know, want to be sponsors and want to be involved. Everybody wants to be involved with something good. You know what I'm saying? Even if it's in the beginning, if it's at the end, long as it's something that's treading in the right direction, they would love to be a part of it. Why not? It's so much money in the world. But it's so little opportunity at times. So when you're presenting that opportunity, for example, with the Black on the Block, I have something, last year was the first year, it's two girls, they have something where they have vendors, new up and coming entrepreneurs come. We had like 70 to 80 last year. We was almost supposed to do 100, but the park was so small. So we had to mess with the times a little bit, but those kind of opportunities that you give people who didn't have a platform, you give them range, you give them a service, whereas though they can just like throw it online. No, you can go into a park where we have like 3,000 to 5,000 people come through that park just for those small businesses. So for me, it's really giving people a platform with my platform and trying to make everybody better and make somebody some money. I mean, I always want to say, make people money is some lasting, affecting things. You got to make them some money.
I was going to say, like, it seems like a balance, right? Like, you don't want to make it seem like you're out there for, you know, commercial reasons, right? But there's also the benefit of doing it at the same time. Like, would you work with a brand that doesn't have a strong community initiative? Like, how pivotal is that for you when you look at?
Well, when you're working with up-and-coming brands, it's usually not a lot of capital. It's not a lot of money to be going around, whereas though I can't get involved in everything, but for me, being in a financial state, whereas though I am stable, you know, I can give back X amount of dollars. If you don't have the money, even if you don't have all the money, give me something, or I will do it for you, or we can do it together. You know what I'm saying? That way, it's still getting done. As many people as I can bring along, I'm ready and willing, and I feel like that's how you make an impact, because they might not have it right now. But if they're emerging and if they do get the capital and they do get the leverage and they do make those relationships, one day we might can do something together. But until then, I'll stomach the load.
I know. Like, what do you feel like a regional brand like MMT? Like, how important is that for you to just?
They got some money though. They got.
They own the bank, right? For sure. Yeah, like when you think of that, do you ever feel like, and not MMT specifically, but do you ever feel like you're almost doing a favor for the brand sometimes, but you like your ethos so much and like getting behind them? Like, you know, you have the big brands, Gatorade and others, but what about the smaller ones too? I'm curious your thoughts on just looking at both of those.
I always look at it as an opportunity, even if it's not a lot of money. I'll tell my rep all the time, it's something that we doing out of good faith. I say out of good faith because they're good people. You know what I'm saying? And it doesn't cost me a lot. It doesn't cost me anything, just a little bit of time. But for me, I like doing things out of good faith because they always turn the corner. You know what I'm saying? When you treat people well, it always comes back. And people always remember how you treat them. They'll never forget how you treat them. That's why it's something I kind of hang my hat on. People don't forget, good or bad. They never forget how you treated them.
Absolutely. And I know we have a good amount of. I think we got a cue coming over here.
Here we go.
No, I'm not throwing it.
Here we go.
No, just some questions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go, shoot.
Okay. Steph, there's a big difference between rich and wealthy.
Yeah.
I think athletes are starting to get a real cognizance between ownership, rich and wealthy, and the difference. What's your desire? Not everybody wants to own a team, amass more wealth. I'm just curious. What's your plan? What do you want to be?
It's so crazy because I tell people all the time I'm not a huge money person. By that mean
only rich people say that.
Yeah. I say that out of good faith, I promise. I'm not a huge money person. That means money won't make or break me, but I am trying to garnish enough wealth or equity into things that I'm a billionaire. I want to be a billionaire. That's my goal. And I feel like if I'm a billionaire, I can reach a billion people. I can put things in place. I can give as many jobs. So with that responsibility, that's what I want. And I understand that it's a huge difference. That's about where I am and where I'm going. It's just a lot of work. You know what I'm saying? It's just like how I got to where I am now. It wasn't easy, but with time, with the right preparation and the right decision making, I feel like I can do it.
My first billion was the hardest, so you're on the
right
track.
That's what they say. That's what they say. That's what they say. Just the first one.
And secondly, I think you can get there not playing football. You looked at Strahan. Will your desires and your ability to now have your money make money, will that shorten your career? Will you say, I don't need to get my head pounded every Sunday. I'm going to go do something else?
That's what they say. I feel like I'm going to try not to be that way. I'm going to try, as he runs away, I'm going to try not to be that way, but I hang my hat on hard work. I hang my hat on, I dedicate so much time into football. Imagine if I just gave it to something else, or imagine if I gave it into financial, or I gave it into real estate. If I apply just half amount of pressure that I do in football, where I run into somebody 100 miles per hour, I feel like I can get there. And that's what, with the right help, with the right team, with the right people around me, just apply that same amount of pressure.
Definitely, for sure. And
we got to
Q&A time or not yet?
No, go for it. Go for it. Go for it. Yeah.
Proud fellow Terp, by the way.
Okay.
From Maryland. Go Terps. Quick question, because I work on brand and partner solutions for an NBA team. And we get stuff all the time on our end, and we think, oh my God, this would be a great fit for an athlete or for somebody on the team or the roster. And not everybody has a team that they work with. Sometimes they do. Like, do you have any times that the team side has come from a team partner or something that makes a lot of sense? Like, what's the best way to approach an athlete from that side? Because I love the way you're speaking about it. We don't always know what the athletes are thinking or their background and their interests, but like, it would be awesome to have some of that dialogue too, to create crossover opportunities from the team and the roster.
It's crazy because I feel like you're doing your kind of homework by already being in the building. Like, you might not know a guy personally, but you can know his acts of service. You know what he's aligns himself with. You kind of know him without knowing him on a personal level. So when you bring something to a guy like, say, for instance, my team, they bring me stuff all the time, and Steph, do you want to do this? Or Steph, do you want to do that? I just got to make sure it's the right fit. And usually it is. It's seamless, you know what I'm saying? Especially if it's a brand partner and it's a guy that you want. But you kind of know this guy, you know what I'm saying? It's not a guy that's you just picked up off of LinkedIn or something like that. This is a guy that you see him on a consistent basis. You see how he moves. You see how he acts. So it's kind of like an interview inside the interview before you get that interview process. So aligning with yourself, aligning with that athlete, it's not easy all the time. I'm not going to say it's easy because sometimes it can be hard. But you want to work with the guys that is seamless. You work with the guys that will help you push this message because it's a great fit, not because it's some money involved. But even then, like, I'm going to tell you the truth, some athletes, if the price is right, they'll go for it. They'll go for it and make it work. So it's all about finding that balance.
We got Terp Nation in here.
I know, I'm here. I got him.
Fear the turtle. Somewhat similar to the last question. For those that aren't Gatorade and Starbucks, for those smaller brands that are kind of up and coming, Dapper Labs, Mad Rabbit.
I'm in Dapper Labs and Mad Rabbit.
Yeah, I know. So did my research.
I did my homework.
So how do you source those deals or find those brands, or how do they find you to get in contact with you to have those partnerships?
Yeah, it's crazy. I have a representative, my marketing rep, and then my agencies. So it's kind of like filter words, though. If you can't get in contact with me directly, all athletes or some type of athlete, you can kind of look to see what agency they're under or a point of contact from that point. It's not as hard as it seems, but at times it can be with certain athletes, depending on how high up they are. And when you're aligning with those smaller brands, like your example, how I got with Mad Rabbit. Mad Rabbit is they use a certain type of oil to help your tattoos. I have 1 million tattoos, so very, very fitting for what I'm trying to do. And then as I meet them, they're young, they're innovative, they got great energy, and it was easy for me to get behind them by saying, obviously I love tattoos, but when you have a product that I see some potential in, and then you can also see other people that are involved in it, who has got involved with it. And so I'm like, all right, I'm interested, I'll put X amount of dollars here. I'm not gonna say the amount, but I'll get behind it.
Thanks, man, I appreciate it.
Thanks
how
for
you doing?
being here.
No.
My name's Emily. I'm a digital manager at NASA.
Oh, nice.
So
What are you doing here?
Learning. So, we're always trying to reach new audiences and get new people interested in science. One thing that we really struggle with, the best way to do that, one of the best ways, is working with partnerships like we're talking about here. One thing that we struggle with is, as a government agency, we're very, very limited in being able to pay people for their time like that. So you kind of talked about it, but what other things do you find beneficial and worth your time in these sorts of partnerships like that?
It's more so the things that I'm interested in. So if you don't have the capital, I feel like your target audience should be, or target partnerships should be somebody who likes what you like, or someone that's into NASA, because there's so many athletes across the board, whether it's soccer, football, basketball. I know somebody likes NASA, somebody wants to be involved in NASA, somebody wants something, because easy to look at them as just football players or basketball players, but it's a couple guys on that roster that, man, I wish I had an opportunity to do X, Y, Z. And it's not really money driven. It's more so they want the educational course. They want to dive into it, or maybe be something that they want to do after football, or something they have an interest in. So I feel like to pique their interest is more so them wanting to do it more than anything. Because if you find somebody that wants to be with your brand, like, for example, I hate to go back to Mad Rabbit. I wanted to do that, and I didn't have to. That's when I started diving into it, to be like, okay, I'm gonna get to know them on another level and get into it. And I know for a fact I'm a little interested in NASA, so you let me know. You let me know. We'll talk about it.
Are we going to get a NASA deal out of this? Is that what's going to pop up?
Hi, my name is Imani, and I work for an athlete education and consulting group. We work with high school, collegiate, and pro organizations. And I'm just curious, you talked about becoming like an athlete CEO. What advice do you have for current college athletes that are engaging in name, image, and likeness and developing their personal brand, but also balancing that with their performance?
I feel like it's crazy because when I was coming up, there was no NIL deals. They like,
You wish there was.
Yeah, get some of that money back. But, I feel like aligning yourself, like those NILs and deals, and they're kind of seeing now that being marketed is real, whether it's from college, whether it's from high school, and they kind of got to prepare even at the high school level going into college if you're a well-known athlete or a well-touted guy. So for me, my form of advice would be aligning yourself, learning, educational more than experience, because before you get to the NFL, it's a great segue. College is a great segue right now because you can make money in college. You can have those partners, or even if it's small or low, high or low, as far as like with the level of company you're working with. I feel like educating yourself. If I could do anything, I would say educate yourself. Educate yourself with the brand, because in college you don't have a lot of money, so you're gonna want to bite at the money. But I would hate for you to have to look back on working with this one local tire company and they did some bad stuff and that's on your resume. So for me, just educating yourself and making sure that the short money, or the temporary money, or the fast money isn't always good money. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's all.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No doubt. Thank you.
Hey, thank you so much for doing this.
No
I'm
doubt.
Connor. I work for a company that does beverage development for athletes and celebs. And I'm kind of wondering, like, early on, because you were saying, like, it works better when you're super excited.
Yeah.
What's a really good early, like, kind of pathway when you're just kind of saying, like, I might want to do a tequila, or I might want to do this, like, kind of making sure that alignment and making sure that partnership is really, really strong from the beginning?
Well, that's a good question.
Yeah, that's a good one. You got him stunned.
I know. For me, I could tell you from personal, to make sure the relationship is like this, meshing well and it's exciting. Being with someone with the same interests. You can't. It's hard for me to get into. I'm not gonna say NASA because I like NASA, but it's hard for me to get into cameras or something like that if I'm not that educated or I'm not that interested. It'll seem like I can't fake it. You know, you can try, but it'd be hard to kind of convey that message with something that you're not that interested in. It's just, I feel like when it comes to natural things, obviously, my man's a cameraman. He's always liked cameras. It's easy to work with guys that want to do it. You know what I'm saying? That's how you make that relationship exciting, because it's easy to wake up in the morning and push a message that you want to get behind. Besides, I mean, I done got behind some messages that I wasn't excited about, but it's easier for that to have that spark and have that connection that you get with a new brand partnership when you're dating them. You know what I'm saying? By being like-minded and doing something you like. So
Awesome. Thank you so much.
thanks
Appreciate
so much.
it.
I appreciate that. Great question.
Hello. I was honestly a little nervous to get up here.
Why? I'm up here. Don't be.
Just because, well, I know nothing about football, and I'm actually on the other end. I have a nonprofit that we support women, children, families, all with human trafficking, really all impoverished communities, all that kind of stuff. And I'm not even explaining it well because I'm nervous, so anyway. But I felt you and your alignment and grace and relationships, and I guess we've been operating for, I think, 7 years now.
Awesome.
And-
Hey, clap.
Oh.
Yeah, you know that. Don't be nervous. We got your back.
But yeah, now, because we're like, okay, all this, it works, like all the work we're doing works, and we want to be able to bring in partnerships with people that are also aligned as well. So I guess with being on that end, where it's like we're not the ones that have the money, we're the ones that have the impact, and we want to bring other people to be able to do more with, and that are completely aligned because it's true. So anyway, I guess my question to you is what advice would you give me?
Give me your card, and
Okay.
I could put you with my marketing rep, and we can kind of try to figure something out, because majority of my acts of service deal with women or underprivileged kids. So like, me personally, I can try to be of some assistance, but big picture, I would say, don't be scared. Like, you can go at anybody, or you can easily ask a question, or I don't have LinkedIn. I think I had just made a LinkedIn. It's easy to reach out to people. So reach out to everybody. Don't be scared. Really though, don't be scared, because growing up, I used to say the worst thing, well, sorry, this analogy. My mom used to tell me, like, I used to be like, how can I get a girl's number? And she used to always tell me the worst thing that she could say is no. So that's all I can say.
It's great advice.
If you want to try to use your platform and get in contact with those people, don't be scared. Just reach out to them. Sometimes it's a shot in the dark. Sometimes it's just what you needed to get you over the hump, and you don't know who's watching and who's trying to be of assistance. Like, for example.
Cool. Can I give you a hug?
Yeah, of course.
That's a perfect example of all you can say is no, and it worked out, so it's perfect.
It's only one hug, so no more hugs, all right?
Hi, so my name is Ez Osman. I work with Populous. We are actually the architecture firm that is building the new Buffalo Bills Stadium.
Okay, yeah. All right.
Thank you. So, as designers, how can we look at the authenticity and for the next gen Bills fan, make sure that we are creating authentic, relevant experiences, talking about the brand. So from your point of view.
I feel like, as we know, Bills fans are crazy. So to make that as fun for them as possible, make it something that they like to do. Like, as we can see, the tailgates are crazy. So if you can somewhat use everything that happens in the tailgate and use it in some way or some form, or make it fun for them, I feel like it would be something they would love to be a part of. But long as it's authentic to them, and you bring it in the stadium, it's something that they would love to do. But I feel like it's also getting the information from them. Like, what do you guys like? What is something that you would like to see in here? I've never been to the tailgate. I want to go. So as far as like getting that information for them, and don't be scared to ask those questions, because it'll have a direct translation to what you're trying to do in the message you're trying to push. If you're trying to push fun, you're trying to bring that next generation in, it'll be easy when you know what they like.
I think folding tables would be a make sure you have a addition there. Yeah.
Didn't get approved.
What's going on, guy?
Hey, thanks for being here. So I lead global brand and media for Nextiva communication company. We've been partnering with the Bills for the past few years. I'm 6 weeks into this new role, and I grew up in Europe. So for me, football is soccer.
Like this.
So you mentioned new partnerships being like dating. If you were thinking of a new and exciting way for a brand to approach you, like a new first date that would get you excited to have a conversation, breaking through the noise of other brands, anything come to mind as someone who has really no background in sports? Like, I fenced growing up. They're gonna laugh at me, but that's what they say, so that's what I know.
Congrats on 6 weeks as well.
Thank you.
Seeing that I was just in Europe, that is crazy. One thing that I would say, something new and something innovative to grab my attention. I don't know, this is new to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, just being here is new to me. So as far as like speaking on a panel and giving my point of view or giving my perspective on things. So how to grab my attention is probably just, reach out to me. There's no new way to invent the wheel, I feel like, you know what I'm saying? To try to wow me, I'm gonna just be like, all right, whatever. But for you to just come to me and approach me or approach my representation with a good plan, with a good mind frame of something that we can get behind, I feel like that's enough for me. You don't have to feel like you need to do something new and creative because it's no way to reinvent the wheel. I'm sorry, I've tried it a couple of times. So I feel like just coming with a strong plan and coming with something that's consistent, if a person can align with it, they should. So that's what I feel like.
Got it. So acts of service, nothing flashy, right?
Yes, keep it clean, keep it clean.
Awesome. Appreciate you.
Thanks, bro. No doubt.
Hello. Hi. So I'm a public librarian, but I'm also from the city of Buffalo.
Okay. Wow.
And I just wanted to, Buffalo has been through so much in the last year, and I just wanted to thank you and every member of the Buffalo Bills for doing it.
Yeah, let's give it up to that. Let's give it up to that.
It's the greatest city in the world. Yes. So I just have a request, and that is just one before I die.
I'll try my best. I got you. Thank you so much. How you gonna follow that one?
I don't know. Hi, my name is Erica Lee. I actually work for the Department of Defense, but my passion is HBCU sports. And I am an HBCU sports media personality. I'm very new to the space, and I wanted to ask, what advice can you give to those of us who are trying to shine a spotlight on HBCU athletics, to include developing partnerships with players and companies for those of us who are new to the media space, and also covering HBCUs, and for those of us trying to direct more partnership resources to our HBCU athletics?
I see that Deion Sanders did a great job as far as like bringing a lot of attention and a lot of love to that new space that needed that attention and needed that. So I feel like in my eyes, just continue to shed light on those athletes, because a lot of those athletes do go in the NFL. It's not surprising at all. It's some talent in every realm of the college football space. So for me, continue to shine light on those athletes and use those local partnerships. We do it all the time as far as those local partnerships that might not know the team or might not know the athlete, but try to connect those dots for them where it's seamless. And the more you bring in, the more you naturally bring in, it'll be dang near like a hub or just an access for those athletes to know that, oh, you can connect with this local brand, or whether it's a local shopping company or shoe company or workout, even a gym, something for those athletes to attach to. That way, not only your job get easier, but you also have a direct pipeline to those athletes to connect with them, and they feel safe. They know that you won't do nothing shady behind them, and you build up a solid reputation of doing good deeds. And you have a good name, you know what I'm saying, all while doing that service. So for me, it's connect those athletes with those local brands. Keep them in front of them. Keep that face good and keep that face fresh, because they need that. You know what I'm saying? They need that. It also might help them with their platform get into the NFL and get in that exposure. So, yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, guys, we got time for a few more, but come on.
I appreciate you letting this turn into a...
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good.
Stefon, I'm O-line Terp.
Okay,
family. I've got a lot of Terp fans here, so it's exciting. Also had one really lucky year with the Raiders, 1980, who won the Super Bowl. I got a ring.
Wow.
And
you didn't bring it today and let me touch it at least.
But you brought up cameras. Today I own the biggest camera store in
Wow.
Texas.
What's the chances of that?
I think, to your point, put your money where your passion is,
Yeah.
and then diversify the rest of it.
Okay.
That's one thing I'd say.
Thank you.
And then I wanted to ask you, do you know how many Terps are in the NFL Hall of Fame? I think, I'm not positive, but I think there's only one, as Randy White.
Wow.
And I think you should focus on getting the Hall of Fame.
There we go. I love that. That's great.
Hey, Stefon.
What's up, Vic?
I'm curious, with the huge phenomenon that is fantasy football, how do you think about that world and growing your personal brand and just growing your exposure to fans?
See, it's crazy because a lot of people, NFL guys, they say like, well, I hate fantasy or I hate this. I'm not that guy. I like fantasy, especially because it means that if I'm playing well, it helps your team. And it's not really a slippery slope for me because I feel like if I'm doing my job and doing what I'm supposed to, everything is gonna be fine with our fantasy team, whoever team I'm on. And it'll make me to be an easy pick every year for somebody to be like, oh, I wouldn't mind grabbing Stefon Diggs. He contributes to my team. So it's when things don't go right is when I tell the fantasy owners, like, listen, it's not me. I promise I'm trying. but I'm a huge fantasy guy too. I know that it's a tough sport, and it's a new sport. It's a sport inside of football. It's like you might not even watch the game, but you'll keep up with your favorite players. So for me, I'm a fan of fantasy football, and I feel like it's something that we all can kind of get behind because it kind of makes the space fun. As far as like with people who everyday working people or people who are in different spaces. Start a fantasy league. I promise you it'll be one competitive, something to talk about every day at lunch, something to look forward to, and you could trade players if things aren't going right. So check it out. That's what I say.
Thank you.
That's one of the most pro fantasy
you like
things
that
I've heard. Yeah, from an athlete.
Yeah, pick me in fantasy.
I love that.
When we win the prize, I need some of the money at the end.
Hi, I work for Vanderbilt football.
How you doing?
Something Coach Lee always says is successful people leave clues.
Mhm.
So what's one clue that you think you've left for collegiate athletes?
I was a prime example for my little brother. I showed him that the work that you're doing within your collegiate team or the work you're doing in your job, that's the work you're doing there. It's always the work that's outside of there that has the carryover. I lean more towards the work I did outside of just what I was required to do because hard work is everything. And muscle memory is always something that you can lean towards when it's time. When those high pressure situations come around, me leaving my clue is me leaving my hard work. So I never, like, I have games, right? I never really get nervous. Like, I'm not a nervous guy or like get anxious because I feel like I prepared. Like I ran this route 1,000,000 times. I caught this ball 1,000,000 times. I've done it 1,000,000 times. It's nothing that you can put in front of me that I haven't seen. So any clue that I can leave behind them is start working towards that 1,000,000 times. Because once you get to that 1,000,000 times, everybody knows this, and it takes 10,000 hours to master anything. I know I put in more than 10,000 hours. That's why I don't ever really be panicking and never really be nervous because, as you say, leave that clue. I'm going to look in the mirror in the morning and say, I did that 1,000,000 times. Watch, I do it 1,000,001.
Mm.
Great, thank you.
So good.
First of all, I'm from Buffalo and actually work for the agency.
Bills fan.
For Tops.
Yeah. There you go.
What you guys did in the community there really took a community that was underserved, underprivileged. Despite the tragedy, is going to leave it a much better thing. So first of all, thank you for that.
No doubt.
No amount of marketing training can help you with that. So, but taking to a completely opposite spectrum, we represent a lot of brands that might have a roster of athletes versus just like a one-on-one relationship. What are your expectations from a brand that might have 4 or 5 different athletes across sports or even within the NFL versus one where you might be the only one who's representing that brand?
I think it's also a different situation. Like when you're the only athlete, it's much more intimate. It's much more like hands-on. It's much more like this is that message that we want and we trying to work our way towards it. Compared to when you got 7 athletes, you got 7 different personalities, and it's their job to do the job of learning the brand and pushing that campaign or XYZ. So for me, it's 2 different perspectives. Like when I'm working one-on-one with a brand, it seems like it feels good. It feels like I don't know, when you're going to your friend's house and you get to stay the night and you get to spend all the time and you get to hang out. Compared to the big company, it's like, all right, well, I got to go to work. So for me, I mean, it's 2 different things, but it's always the same agenda at the end. If you want to drive home a message and you want to get some things done, make sure you're aligning with the right people and having that. Even if those 7 athletes are different personalities, they all have the same core values to get this message across, and they won't mess it up. So there we go.
Thank you.
Goes back to the values you were saying, right?
Yeah,
Talking
exactly.
about,
Hey, Stefon, from Minneapolis originally.
Okay,
It's all love, all love.
Minnesota nice. I like. I'm nice still.
So first question, are you trying to bring Anthony on the Buffalo?
No. let's keep it.
I'll make some phone calls. I got you.
But main question is, going from the Twin Cities market to Buffalo, did a
Yeah.
lot of those partnerships kind of taper off from the Twin Cities and just kind of garner some in Buffalo, or you
Yeah.
trying to keep those relationships as it went on?
Well, it's different because usually when you're working with people in that city, they like to use guys in that city. And it makes the most sense because it's a face, it's a routine face. You'll see it, you're comfortable with it, and you're pushing their brand. Say, for instance, who did we work with in Minnesota? CenturyLink. CenturyLink was the local cable service that we used, and we had a great partnership with them, but in Buffalo there is no CenturyLink, so it's hard for me to be the face of somebody that's not where I'm at prevalent or not somebody that they see. So for the ones that did have some carryover, it's usually brands that's outside of football. Those relationships, those national commercials, those national settings. So for me, it's usually from city to city. But when I say that running athlete thing, is that's when that kind of plays a part. It's similar to renting, but I still have those relationships. Like I still can call somebody over there that work there, and they'll take my email or take my call. So it's more so it depends on city to city, but I would say kind of stay in the realm of using guys that's already actively players or in that city, just because it's a face that they'll see. You know what I'm saying? It's somebody that they feel comfortable with, or somebody that they cheer for each and every day. It's hard to cheer for somebody that plays for the Buffalo Bills, and you know what I'm saying?
All right, appreciate it.
No doubt.
Hey, Stefon.
We got one more.
Yeah, I just want to thank, first of all, on behalf of everyone, I thank you. I think the same reason you're so engaging as a player, and the same reason your personal brand is so valuable. You're a human being.
Thanks, bro.
Even on the field,
Thanks, bro.
people could tell. I'm from Minneapolis too. I forgive you. It's all good. But I do have one football question, if you don't mind, because people have seen you're a part of one of the most iconic plays in football history.
Yeah. Thanks.
You always will be, and you're going to be in the Hall of Fame even if you stop today.
Thanks, bro.
But I would love to hear your point of view on that play, the Minneapolis Miracle.
Yeah, I got you.
Because, obviously, people are going to be talking about that long after we're all gone. So, even from the huddle on to when it happened,
I got you.
how were you feeling?
I'll give you a play-by-play.
It's been a minute, though.
It's been a minute. I gotta go like this a little bit. That game, it was such a roller coaster. Like, we rode the roller coaster of being up, being down, being up. And Drew Brees, we got Drew Brees on the other side. We got Sean Payton on the other side. People who, these are legends right here that are in front of us. So we never counted them out. We kind of went down, but we didn't never get nervous. We were just like, man, we got it. Don't even worry about it. So we went up at one point, and I was like, yeah, we got the game. Don't even worry about it. Defense about to get a stop. What happens? Drew Brees throws a wheel route to Alvin Kamara for the touchdown. They go up. I say, oh, man, things aren't looking good in my head. But then we get an opportunity in offense. I said, don't worry about it. Like I say, the universe honors grace. I say, I'm going to put positivity in the world. I'm going to say, we got it. We got a chance. Let's just go do it. We'll figure it out. So we get in the huddle, we get our opportunity to, go down and score. So we were talking about what we should do. Like, all right, we're going to catch, get out of bounds. Whoever catches, get out of bounds, get out of bounds. I was like, all right, I got it in my head. And then throughout that play, so I catch the ball, I'm getting ready to brace for impact. And like I said, I've done this a million times. I've caught the ball a million times. I ran this route a million times. So when I caught it and I didn't feel any impact, initially, my mind straight went to he must have missed. Something must have happened. So when I braced for impact and nobody touched me, and it was so weird because felt like somebody was going to hit me, and when they didn't, I just started bracing for getting on the ground or trying to get out of bounds. So I kind of caught my feet a little bit, and as I caught my feet, I was like this. Nobody tackled me yet. You know what I'm saying? And I said, look, if this is it, I'm gonna go for the goal. So I ran as fast as I could, as I did. I don't know if anybody drives cars around here. I did as many, I did 6 head checks. I was like, look. I was like, yeah, somebody really messed up behind me. So I ran in the end zone. It was a storybook ending. I threw my helmet. It was like a little kid jumping on the bed when he says 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I scored a touchdown. So that's my best storytelling of that play. And the rest is history. Thank you.
And I love to end it there because obviously the miracle, and the rest is history, right? Your brand has exploded since and exposure. And, I just want to thank you, Stefon, for coming today. And, I hope you all enjoyed cultivating authenticity of brand partnerships. And
I just want to say thank you, everybody, for coming out and listening to me chat it up. I hope it was very informative. I hope you took something from this. One thing I did learn is leave some clues. So, thank you for that. Appreciate that. Y'all have a good one.
Thank you, guys.